Eyewitness News. This is Trends on 3.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Trends on 3. Coming up on today's show, a local nonprofit is providing hope and support for women and mothers in crisis. Plus, see how one organization is working to empower and educate young people in our community about African American history in a creative way. Also, mental health has become even more of a focus during this pandemic. Advice from the experts. And early voting is underway. How one group is trying to make sure those in underserved communities get out and vote. But first, I'm joined by Suzanne Burns from Foundation House Ministries.
Suzanne, thanks so much for joining me today. For people who aren't familiar and maybe they're hearing this for the first time, tell us about Foundation House Ministries, how it got started.
Yeah, so we're a maternity home and training program for mothers in crisis. And about 9 years ago, I was volunteering. I had my own crisis pregnancy in college. And so a few years later, I was volunteering at a pregnancy help center. And we began seeing more and more women coming through that really needed more services than what we were designed to provide. And so something was stirring in the atmosphere. And I remember one client in particular came in and she's pushing her baby in the stroller and complaining because she wasn't getting a job. She was going on interviews and she was putting in applications everywhere, but she was just really struggling. And so I began asking her some questions, maybe she was applying for the wrong jobs, or maybe she didn't interview well. How could I help? I'm a fixer. So what could I do to fix the problem? And she proceeded to say, well, at some point in the interview, the baby gets fussy or he needs a diaper changed. And, the interview is just pretty well over. And of course, my first thought was, no, the interview was probably over when they saw you push your baby in the stroller to the interview. But I knew that's never the full picture. I had been there long enough to know there's always more to the story. And so I began asking her some more questions, and come to find out the reason that she was taking her baby on interviews was because she was living with the baby's father, who was a violent drug dealer, and she didn't feel safe leaving the baby home alone with him. And it was really at that point that I knew something more needed to exist. We needed a residential place for these women to be able to come in freedom and in safety. And so I knew they needed job skills, and I knew they needed housing, and that's how we started. Wow. 6 years ago, we opened, very naive. We've learned a lot since then in our first 100 mothers.
I will just tell you, a lot of us, Stoney, we think about just the normal challenges that we face as women, as mothers with jobs and careers. But when you hear stories like that and how much even more difficult it is, and the problems and challenges that some of these women are facing because they don't have that support system. And when you start thinking about, when I listen to that and you have to take a baby to an interview with you, then obviously that they need the help and support. Tell us about then when women come into these program, how does it work? How long can they stay? And what do they have to do to stay in the program?
Well, we have very few rules. Our goal is to help these mothers build a life of sustainable stability. So it's that idea that you get to the place where you never have to be back in this situation again. And so that looks different for every mother. We've had women come through with a master's degree. We've had women come through who was already an LPN, and she was our first graduate to purchase a house as she moved out of our program. We've had others come in fact, 70% of our moms come in without a GED or high school diploma. So every woman's situation is unique. And so our deadlines are unique to each mother, as well as the curriculum that we use to move her forward. So when she comes in, we tailor everything to suit her needs, because we've learned over the years that it's not about bringing her along on our journey or even dragging her along what we think her journey ought to be, but rather it's coming alongside her and helping her along her journey towards stability and lasting joy and building a future for herself and for her children.
Yeah, and you're right. And each person is unique in their individual situation. Some will take longer than others to get on that path of sustainability, and to be able to live on their own. We want to not want to wrap. We want to wrap up, but we want to first talk about what's coming up, the pop-up shop, and how that works before we run out of time.
Yes, so we're so excited. We've been blessed to be able to rent the 2 empty spaces right directly beneath our offices on Broad Street in Cleveland. And one is a vendor mall, and so we've rented out little spaces within that to other vendors. And our job training program is located there, as well as some others. And then the other one is a secondhand thrift shop. And so all proceeds are going to support the ministry and help us move forward with our moms.
Okay, and this takes place. Remind people of when it will take place.
We're open now and we'll be open through the end of the year. So December 31st, we're open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 5.
Okay, already, and we want to, hopefully people will come and support that so that they can come support the ministry. And again, thank you, Suzanne, and for all the great work you all do at Foundation House Ministries. Thank you.
Taking a hands-on approach to educating and empowering young people in our community about African American history.
What better way to spend family time at home than with your own hot tub or swim spa from Aqua Living? 4-person hot tubs, $26.99. Revolutionary swim spas that can heat or chill the water. Bad credit, no problem. For more information, go to aqualivingstores.com.
So, football. Friday night. Like everything in 2020, it won't be normal, but it will be football. You can still count on the Eyewitness Sports team to bring all the action home to you only on Channel 3.
Catch all the school spirit and fun on FanCam, sponsored by Arby's. We have the meats.
Friday nights at 11, only on Channel 3.
Channel 3's Friday Night Football, brought to you by Food City and Sonic.
When looking for a TV and internet provider, we know you have a choice. This is Jessica. She still has satellite TV.
Well, I get tons of HD.
Spectrum has tons of HD. And we get exclusive access to premium original content with Spectrum Originals.
I don't have that. Plus, sometimes in the rain, our services go out.
Because of the dish on your roof?
Get Spectrum TV from $44.99 a month. Call 833-916-4499.
And Spectrum Internet starts at 100 megabits with no data caps and a free modem.
We have to get internet from another company, and it isn't nearly as fast.
Spectrum Internet, $44.99 a month.
I'd switch, but I'm stuck in a contract and would have to pay up to $480 to cancel.
Spectrum has no contracts, and they'll pay up to $500 to help you out of yours.
That's it. I'm switching to Spectrum.
Get Spectrum TV and internet from $44.99 a month each. Call 833-916-4499.
What better way to spend family time at home than with your own hot tub or swim spa from Aqua Living? 4-person hot tubs, $26.99. Revolutionary swim spas that can heat or chill the water. Bad credit, no problem. For more information, go to aqualivingstores.com.
Taking a creative approach when it comes to educating and empowering young people in our community about African American history. I spoke with Rakita Dotley from the Net Resource Foundation.
Okay. All righty. So thank you so much for joining me to talk about this. You know, the Net Resource Foundation. For a lot of people, this is probably the first time hearing about this organization. So tell us a little bit about your organization and about the mission.
Sure. So what we do here at the Net Resource Foundation, we challenge systemic issues in the South Chattanooga area through mentorship and community building programs. So our programs include our youth, which is our summer and after school programs. We have a right hand feeding program, which actually just ended, about 30 minutes ago. And we give out groceries once a week, starting at 1 o'clock. So if anyone wants to come, they have to come. Please come early. And then and we're in partnership with Chattanooga Area Food Bank for that. And then we also have our civic engagement program, which allows us to partner with different like-minded organizations to host community building events and activities and programs here. So for instance, we have our community garden. We partner with Trust of Public Land and Samias. So it's a lot that we do, but we're very targeted in making sure it's things that are specific to our community.
Now, you recently held an activity where you said it talked about basically use the term kind of an immersive activity when it comes to empowering and educating young people in the community about African American history. Tell us about that and how you use kind of that creative hands-on approach and why it was important to do it that way.
Yes, the event was called Ubuntu. Ubuntu is Zulu for I am because we are, and it focuses on our intergenerational connections. So we wanted to focus on activities with African American artists. So initially, the event was supposed to be in April, and it was a 6-week intensive for our after-school program students. They were going to do art with Charlie Newton of Splash Art. They were doing a dance hip hop intensive with Devontae Williams of D. Williams Dance Academy. And then we surveyed the parents to ask what were the top 3 meals they cooked on Sundays. And then we were going to have a caterer prepare those meals, and we were going to present that all to the South Chattanooga community. Unfortunately, COVID happened. And so we went back, revisited with Artsfield. And from there, we were able to translate that into a virtual celebration. So we contacted Charlie Newton again, Devontae Williams, and Chef Travis Gladden with Tasteful Expressions Catering. And they all came together, and we hosted 3 simultaneous classes last Wednesday. And it went very well.
Wow. So talk about the importance of events like that when it comes to getting the community involved and helping children. And when you help children, also helping parents and families as well.
Right, that is very important, and we were specific about it, about all of the artists being African American artists, because we have a culture here in America as African Americans. We all came from, slavery from Africa. Unfortunately, with the way things have gone, we'll never be able to capture a lot of that history from the past. But we do have history here. We have culture here, and it was important for us to express that. So that's what we ended up doing. I'm sorry, all the phones rang down. Okay, so it was important for us to express that with the students. So that's what we wanted to do. And then to be able to engage the parents was really good too.
Yeah, and that's true. And that's kind of the thing about being at work, right? Work never stops. But one of the things too is, and in empowering these young people, tell us about, you work with a specific age group, right? So
yes.
And how do families get involved with your program if they're interested?
Okay. Well, we started with our K through 12. We actually work with kids all age groups. Well, the initial age group we started with was our after school program, which was K through they're K through 6, K through 8. And so they actually were involved in the program. And we've always had a great connection with the parents. So that's what we ended up, talking to them, asking them, what do you do? Or what is the culture for you at your home? And so that's how we ended up embracing that. And the students were actually working on particular people out of South Chattanooga. For instance, we used Mary Walker, even though she wasn't necessarily a South Chattanooga resident. A lot of their family live in Mary Walker Towers. We talked about Emma Wheeler, which is Emma Wheeler Homes. And then also Charles A. Bell, which had a school out here. So it was important for them to understand the important people that were right here in their community, in their neighborhoods. So that was important for them to do that. So that was one segment of it that we didn't get a chance to all the way complete, but the students were doing so good with it. And it was important for them to learn that history, because now they can go back and share that history with their parents. For instance, Emma Wheeler, they may live out there, but they didn't know who Emma Wheeler was. It's just, I live in Wheeler Homes. Well, now you know who Dr. Emma Wheeler is and what she did. And it puts more pride into your community in that way.
And that is so important, instilling pride in our young people. Well, Arkita, thanks to you all and what you all are doing there at the Net Resource Foundation and helping children and families in that community. Thank you so much for your time today.
From the pandemic to a change of seasons, find out how you can stay mentally healthy during all of this. Advice from the experts and warning signs to look for.
West Yellowknife Trading Post has everything under the sun. Mini split system starting at only $8.95. 3/8-inch thick beadboard paneling only $19.50 a sheet. Don't pay big box prices, but hurry. Limited quantities available. You better get it when you see it at West Yellowknife.
Hi, I'm Jamie, Crown of Cleveland.
And I'm Ken at Crown Chattanooga.
And we are having a Pacifica price on a Pacifica.
That's right, folks. During our Pacifica family pricing event, get up to $9,000 off on a Pacifica, and if you own a different make or model, get another $1,000.
That's up to $10,000.
That's $10,000.
You heard that right. You pay what we pay.
And trade your vehicle, or we'll buy your vehicle, even if you don't buy from us.
We've got you covered. Crown of Chattanooga, Crown of Cleveland.
We not only have
Conference call calamity. You've got an important meeting to talk about next week's pre-meeting. But your Uncle Larry decided to stop by 2 weeks ago. This looks like a job for Smile Power. Good thing you've got access to the nation's largest network of molar-defending dentists for your dental benefits, so you can synergize your team dynamics with a healthy smile. Unleash your Smile Power with Delta Dental.
With advanced technology available on the Nissan Rogue, you'll be equipped to help protect the moments that matter most. This is tech that gives you confidence. Save up to $3,500 on Rogue, or get 0% financing for up to 84 months on 14 models.
West Yellowknife Trading Post has everything under the sun. 12 by 12 porcelain tile, only 69 cents a square foot. Paint just $12.95 a gallon. Don't pay big box prices. But hurry, limited quantities available. You better get it when you see it at West Yellowknife.
Folks across the country and this community have not only been dealing with the coronavirus pandemic, but also a mental health crisis as well. I spoke with Ricky Harris from Tennessee Voices.
Alrighty, well, thank you so much for joining me today. Let's start by talking about, we're still dealing with this pandemic as well, and dealing with not being able to do life as normal, not being able to see our loved ones sometimes and hug our loved ones like we would like to. Add to that, seasonal affective disorder, known as SAD. Talk about how all of this is coming together and just kind of compounding the problem when it comes to mental health.
Yeah, so we know that this pandemic and all the research coming out and the studies telling us what's going on with people, it is wrecking people's mental health. It really is. And for many people, it's creating new challenges they've never faced. For other people who already struggle with things like anxiety or depression, it's really exacerbating the issues that they face. And you're exactly right. Seasonal affective disorder, while for many years was not even talked about by so many colleagues, friends, and family who have shared stories over the years, I don't know why I just feel so blah during this time. I hate when the season changes. I hate when it gets darker earlier. Those are the kind of things that seasonal affective disorder is all about. So you've got compounding issues. People are going to experience those in a lot of different ways. And unfortunately, our brains can only take so much stress. So I think right now, the best thing we can do is pay attention to our own mental health, whether it's something we've ever had to think about before, or it's a new thing, or we're used to having an issue. Like, pay more attention to what's going on with yourself.
And that is so important. And what are some of those warning signs that you want to look for, whether it's with you personally, or maybe something you notice with someone else that you say, you know what, this is a red flag. We need to make a call and see about getting some help.
Yeah, there's many different types of people to think about with that question. So the first one I would talk about is the people who live alone. They're at the greatest risk. If you know someone who's living alone throughout all of this, through quarantines and through transitions, checking in on them more frequently is really important. Trying to make face-to-face contact like we're doing now through, telecommunication is really good for them. Just considering that there's not another person in their home for them to at least have that support and have that communication every day. So that's the first group I'd think about. The next is families. So paying attention to how this is affecting people in your family differently. For instance, children. I have one child who could stay at home all day, every day and love it and just be happy. The other one needs people. So understanding the different needs of your family members and thinking about ways to address that. And in some cases, reaching out for therapeutic support. And then looking at ourselves. I think the symptoms we need to pay attention for are, things like not wanting to get out of the bed, maybe just no energy, very big lack of energy, spending a lot of time thinking about certain things like what's going to happen if something happens. Be careful and watch how that's affecting you in your thoughts day to day. And if you're continuing to have the same worry day after day for several hours of your day, it's consuming your thoughts, then reach out for help. We don't think about mental health like we should as a society. If we get sick, stuffy nose, sore throat, we know when to call the doctor, and we know that we probably need treatment at a certain point in those symptomatic problems. So we need to do the same for mental health. At a point, we know that something is no longer normal for us. That's when we need to reach out. And so that's what we're encouraging people to do.
And as we wrap up here too, I want to just quickly talk about, people are saying that a lot of times their grief, I've read, that is lasting longer during this pandemic. It's more difficult losing someone to COVID because of the fact that, in some cases they weren't able to physically go in there and hold their hand, and talking about how it's just hard to get over that grief. And if you could kind of wrap things up with that and just kind of dealing with all of this during the pandemic.
Yeah. So much like reaching out for help being the first step, treatment and committing to treatment is the next. And I would say with grief, especially losing family members you didn't get to say goodbye to properly, unresolved grief is very difficult to carry. It's like having a huge rock on your shoulders and walking around with it day in and day out. So processing in therapy or with a therapeutic model is very critical, because processing is much like treatment, much like taking an antibiotic. It's going to help you work through the issues and help you heal much faster than if you just let the infection fester, right? So I think that's what's important for people dealing with grief. Don't be scared to ask for support from a therapist.
Ask for that help. And thank you so very much for your time. Such important information in it.
Find out how one group continues their effort to make sure that voters in underserved communities get out to the polls. Stay with us.
I'm C. Mark.
I'm John Mark.
Early voting is underway.
Exercise your right as an American. Get out and support your favorite candidate.
Your vote will make a difference.
The Voice on Channel 3 is sponsored locally by Crystal, bringing back a down-home favorite.
Gwen is special and super hot.
I love you.
This is The Voice. This is a dog-eat-dog business.
The reason to come on the show is to destroy Blake.
The Voice, sponsored locally on Channel 3 by Crystal. Now get 2 country fried steak crystals plus a small tot for just $4.99.
Here at Quality Tire Pros, we pride ourselves in giving the best service, parts, knowledge, and accessories to our customers. The Quality Tire family has proudly served Chattanooga for 62 years, and we hope to be your #1 choice for auto repair for years to come.
Quality Tire Pros offers a wide selection of Michelin tires. No matter what you drive or where you've driven, Michelin has a tire to fit any need.
Covenant Allergy and Asthma Care is excited to see patients at their new location at 6141 Shallowford Road. Covenant Allergy and Asthma Care has served Chattanooga area families for over 20 years and has drive-through allergy shot appointments available. Covenant was one of the first practices to use telemedicine, so you can see your physician through a safe and secure online portal. Make your appointment at Covenant Allergy's new Chattanooga location at covenantallergy.com to live a more abundant, healthy life for your whole family.
Gravely Construction, your kitchen is our masterpiece. Enjoy ambient lighting, a perfect backsplash, custom cabinetry, breathtaking countertops, and durable flooring. Gravely Construction. Come experience our commitment to quality and a job well done.
Crime Stoppers with Greg Glover. Wednesdays only on Channel 3.
Every day you count on us.
It's our responsibility to keep you informed so you can stay safe.
We're working hard to provide more ways to help keep you connected.
Channel 3 is now streaming on Apple TV, Roku, and Fire Stick.
Just search WRCB and download our free app to watch news, weather, and information. No matter how you receive our coverage, every day you can count on us.
Keeping you connected.
Download the Channel 3 app. It's coverage you can count on.
Welcome back. The National Pan-Hellenic Council of Chattanooga continues their efforts to make sure that voters get out to the polls, especially those in underserved and underrepresented communities. I spoke with some of the members about part 2 of their 4-part effort.
You look at those numbers, you want people to come out and vote because they have the voting strength. People just don't come and actually use that strength, use that voice. The second area is the Dalewood, Eastdale, Eastgate, Woodmore area. They have 8,874 voters. Of that, 2,300 voted. So again, you have a low voter turnout versus the amount of actual registered voters in the area. And then finally, you have the third area is going to be where I live, my favorite area, which is Alton Park, East Lake, East Side, and Ridgedale. We have a total of 9,285 registered voters as of August, and only 1,635 of them voted. These numbers are really important because when you total them together, and then I'm gonna give another reference with that. You total them together, that is 25,000 votes, okay? And of those 25,000 votes, only 5,000 voted. Considering this, in 2016, Mayor Burke won with 11,994 votes. Just these 3 areas alone are that. It doubled over at that point. So these numbers are very important. So it's important for everyone to get out to vote, but especially these areas that really have high voter registration, but people are just not going out to vote.
That's a fifth. Those numbers I was listening to. So a fifth, not half, but a fifth of voters turned out to vote.
Yes,
those numbers have got to improve for so many reasons. And I guess my next question would be, and Chris or Ron, if you want to tackle this, how do you get people to realize the power of their vote to get out and cast a ballot? How do you get people to realize that their vote and their voice really matter?
I'll tackle that one. So just like Rakita said, when you hear those staggering numbers that only 20% of those people that voted were represented, well, those numbers could actually change the actual election for the mayor in the city. When you put that higher level, those numbers kind of get larger when it comes to a national level. So just knowing that your vote does count and it can make a difference. Just having that knowledge to know that is very important for those representatives in the community.
Yeah, and I guess, Rhonda, talk a little bit about that and why it's so important that you get people out and get them to realize the importance. And just like Chris was saying, and Rakita was giving examples of, just those votes alone could make a difference in elections, and getting them to say, you can decide who's in office in your city.
Yeah.
Getting people out to vote is the key. I said we have to remind them your vote does count. Your vote does make a difference. You are very important and your vote is important. People died so you can vote. So stand up and be counted because your vote does count.
That's all the time we have for this edition of Trends on 3. I'd like to thank my guests for sharing their time with us today, and thank you for joining us. If you would like to get in touch with me, or if you'd like to be a guest on Trends on 3,